Hello, welcome guys back to the channel. Maverick here with another episode of Code Geass. So, last episode we had some pretty big developments, right? Lelouch spent like 2/3 of the episode kind of moping around, being all depressed and whatnot. But he finally got it back together at the very end, made a heroic re-entry, and then, accepted the terms proposed by his dear sister Nunnally, of rejoining the Special Administrative District of, what do they call it? Like the Special Administrative District of Japan, right? So is he going to be giving up his sort of United States of Japan sort of thing? Is this really a case where maybe he's just doing this on the surface level, but he's still scheming in the in the shadows and whatnot? Maybe this is his ploy to get Nunnally back, join them for now, but later rebel once again. Well, I guess we'll just have to get into it and find out. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, that's it? Alright. Sorry, I'm gonna say, that is not the full truth now. He has changed. I mean, last episode, it was definitely more of a, like classic shonen sort of development. Friends and, friendship, working together, all that sort of thing. Even though, of course, his friends have no idea, like, who Lelouch actually is and what he's doing. Yeah, I probably shouldn't sing along. But like I said before, this song really does grow on you. Like, the melody itself is kind of odd in a lot of ways, but it grows on you. Yakuan no Kiseki. So does that mean like something that happens only 1,000,001? I mean, sorry, 1 million. How come we never really saw like Kaguya's interactions with Lelouch? Well, that's kind of funny because that's actually what Suzaku is wanting to do, right? Hmm. Wow, that's actually like okay. That's really quick. They instantly set everything up already. Ah, damn. You know, a lot of uh yeah, all this this kind of well, the funny thing is the funny thing is it wasn't really what he wanted, right? So like I said, that's why I really don't like the entire, killing of Yuffie. I just felt like it's considering like everything else is all nicely planned. They make a great deal about plans within a plan, controlling everything. It just seems like so random. I mean, I guess that does hold true to reality, right? Sometimes things are random. There is an amount of chaos. That was recent. Oh, hello. It's been a while. A horse carriage? Really? Well, I guess. Can't really fault them for that. Like, again, so much hatred and everything stems out directly because of this Yuffie incident, right? Has there actually been an if story done before where Yuffie... Actually, I think I commented on this or asked this before in season 1, right? Why is she wearing that though? Why is she wearing that? Zero is a figure. Though I am curious here, like... So... Oh, this is where her body is? Yeah, Yuffie's mausoleum. Would that be Lelouch? What is he planning? You know, I'm getting like nervous about the entire situation here. So I will give them props for that though. Like, there's a certain weight hanging across everything. Like more so than any of the other situations that happened before. I guess it's just because of the history of this, right? Considering like what happened last time. You know, and what's happening with Lelouch, what's happening with the Knights. This reminds me of V for Vendetta. That was Kaguya, right? What? I mean, it's quite obvious, like, who is who. Dang, this maid has been quite important. Why is this a cowardly cheap shot? I feel like this was the best outcome for everybody. Hmm. Oh, the maid has realized who he is. But why was there a million? Well, I guess the million people who do believe in the Black Knights and in Zero, eh? So what's gonna happen now, though? Like, is Lelouch still going to like go back and still pretend that nothing happened and that he isn't Zero? What? I am like flabbergasted at everything that happened in this episode. I'll see you guys after this. Well now, certainly I don't think anyone was expecting that kind of development. I can honestly and fully say that I would never in a million years, get it, million, think of this being one of the outcomes and all that. Honestly though, like, first of all, before we get into the particulars of it, I just feel like, does anybody have the same feeling as I do that it seems there are episodes or events that happen in the middle that just kind of got glossed over? Like, I kind of feel like I'm watching this whilst missing 3 episodes worth of material in between, or something of that sort. Like, I guess maybe, you know, from the producers, they made a conscious decision to not really go too into depth onto like how they could pull off these kind of things. I mean, Lucia himself has always been kind of like a Deus Ex Machina character. He just does what he does, right? He's always at the right time, at the right place, with the right plan, under the right conditions, and all that. So I guess we're not really supposed to question too much about it, but definitely in the back of my mind, I was like, how the hell did he coordinate this? This is a million people, right? That is definitely not easy in any sort of manner. The logistics, I mean, just keeping everything under wraps and providing all the outfits and whatnot. I can't help but think about the realities of these kind of situations, right? Like, I know it's kind of based on sci-fi, right? There's a lot of sci-fi stuff here, and some people might argue, Maverick, why are you caring about this when there's so many other unrealistic stuff happening? But I do. I still do, right? Because there's a certain, like, you still need to play within certain rules, even if you are, you know, bordering on, or you are firmly in the realms of sci-fi and fantasy and whatnot. But again, I don't feel like this is particularly what this series is concentrating on, so I guess I really can't say too much about that. It's just, I don't know. I just still feel like there was so much in between that to me actually is what I love to see about well thought out stories and well thought out plans. Like, I want to see how they do it step by step, and how they took steps to get there in the end, right? Like, how were they able to pull off this kind of coordination? How did they think of this kind of plan? How long was it in planning and whatnot? Those are the things that I genuinely really enjoy, because I feel like that speaks volumes as to the story writing and to, you know, how you construct a story and how you bring it all together, right? Like here, I feel like, you know, I feel like this might be a good opportunity to touch on some parts, because we have been more dealing with the emotional kind of side of things in these, especially in these past few episodes here, right? And more so concepts, like this episode, I guess, was kind of sort of philosophical in a way. Or I guess we could also argue that the entirety of season 1 of Code Geass, and heck, maybe even continuing on, it would kind of be like the clash in philosophies between Suzaku and Lelouch, right? You know, who is in the right, who is in the wrong, and all that sort of stuff. So, you could argue that is what's more important for the series rather than anything else, but you know, I guess I digress here. But like, there's not only that, like those are the grander level of things, right? But on a smaller level, like there's some things that I'm also really interested in knowing as well. Like for instance, Kaguya and Lelouch, we only saw them interact with each other like twice before, and yet they're you know, there's certainly a level of familiarity between them already that I want to see, right? I want to see what happened there, like what happened between them. You know, I guess you could argue that's more slice of life than anything, or more, but I just want to see these characters be developed more, right? That's something. And then beyond that, let's see. I mean, the new knights and whatnot, we haven't really gotten too far into their characters either. So that's kind of like also out there, even though they are giving us a few scenes with them, but it's not really speaking any volumes about their character, their personality. Well, maybe a little bit about the personalities, but not really what drives them, what motivates them, and you know, what makes them tick. Their sort of philosophical leanings and whatnot. Like, we don't really understand anything about that from many of the supporting characters here either, even though we do see them many times. But I don't know. It's just I feel like this series would really benefit a lot more by adding episodes in the middle and then, you know, expanding on those sort of situations. Like, I mean, here it's hype, right? We get into, oh my god, like how did he get into this sort of situation? What are they gonna do in the future? Do we now have like the United States of Japan as a independent floating territory or whatnot? Are they gonna go around the world and you know, what exactly is their next step from here? Like, obviously that's kind of exciting, right? I can get that. And you know, being to have this sort of nomadic people and you know, to have 1 million people instantly join and you know, basically having their own sort of territory or land. Like, I don't think this is a permanent solution. So where are they going to land? Are they going to seek asylum or whatnot? Are they going to create another country, another special territory within another nation's borders, something of that sort? There's so many questions that's popping up here, right? And so obviously in that sort of aspect, it's really exciting, and there's a lot of stuff that can be developed with. It's like, don't get me wrong, it's not like I hate this kind of development. Like, I feel like there's so many more possibilities that you could do with this kind of development. It's just that the steps to get there, I sort of kind of care. So to me, this isn't really, it's not really scratching my itch, right? And it's not really leaving me satisfied with it, even if the conclusion of it is something that I'm more than fine with. And like I said, like some of the small stuff in the middle, like why was Cicely wearing that outfit? Like, was she supposed to be on a date or something and then suddenly called back? Like, what the heck was that all about and whatnot? This new character, I kind of forgot her name already. The stern lady, who's, I guess, some sort of she's supposed to be more of like an advisor or more so on behalf of His Majesty the Emperor in terms of keeping an eye on Noli and whatnot. And also the fact that Noli is probably not only more of a novice at this kind of thing, but she's also, yeah, so basically she needs somebody to help her handle it. I can get that entire situation, but her character also came into this like sort of unannounced and unestablished, let's say. Even though I guess we don't really need to know too much more about her, beside the fact that she's probably one of you know, one of the men from Charles, from Chalulu, and we can, infer that she would definitely be taking more of a hardline stance, right? As with most of the Britannian people, as we can see near the ending of this. Now, this okay. So beyond all that, like I've already said all I want to say in regards to the structure of this sort of development. So what about the actual development itself, right? Now, definitely, like I said, it's fun, having this sort of V for Vendetta moment. I do wonder, like, if this is a specific reference to that moment and whatnot. I kind of can't really see anything else, but yes, that is probably a nod to the reference in the film V for Vendetta, based on the novel of the same name, where I guess I shouldn't really spoil it, but having all these people being like zero, I'm zero, and for Zero to be instead sort of like embodying a sort of philosophy or a sort of belief, right? So it's not so much the individual person, but rather the people here who believe in the same values, right? Having the same beliefs, having the same objectives and goals, or at least one overall one, right? Like, the specifics might be different. They might each be fighting for a different purpose, or they might even be joining the United States of Japan for different reasons. Not necessarily all because they have a full recognition and want to be recognized as Japanese. Like, some might be here just out of more realistic situations, right? Like some of the like what some of the Britannians commenters have been saying, right? Saying or heck, even some of the other 11s here, right? Saying that only those who are like in poverty or whatnot will want to join. Hey, that might be a really realistic reason here, right? But that's still. I'm not sure if they are going to go into that part, but I would even say a fair majority of the people here might have joined because of that sort of reason, right? Populist uprisings, populist rebellions do have their roots do have their strength much more rooted in sort of like the basic fundamentals of life, right? If we go by Maslow's hierarchy of needs, then those who just desire food, shelter, a safe place to live, warm food in their bellies and whatnot, that might be the driving force more than any sort of higher belief here, right? I don't know if this is a show that will go further into that sort of concept or anything. Like, maybe it's not taking such a realistic take on this situation, even though that is, again, like what reality is based on, like, in terms of the real world, like what the world that we are living in, that is how most of these kinds of uprisings stem from. But are they going to go for more of this more realist route, or are they still going to take more of the how can I say it, this fantasy and this sort of how can I put this more sort of fantastical dream. I'm struggling to find the right words here. It's just fantasy in a way, right? Like, and thinking that everybody has the same sort of belief and all aiming for a higher goal. Now, we'll see whether or not anything actually comes from that. I don't, like, for instance, when they were discussing about how not many people were going to be joining the special district at the beginning of this episode, I was thinking, are they actually going to go down into the nitty gritty and start really showing us the sort of back and forth and discussions that stems from this kind of thing, right? Like the dissonant factions within the Black Knights. People, I've said this before, right? They are united really only by the sheer unrealness of Zero, right? Of Lelouch, because he has these special powers and these bordering on supernatural feats of intelligence and whatnot, and to a certain degree feat of miracles. So that is what is binding them all together. But in reality, they all have their own specific goals and needs and wants and whatnot, and we saw a little bit of that in the beginning of the episode here, like sparks starting to fly here and there, but in the end, everything just got contained, and well, here they are continuing on, right? So yeah, we'll see about that, and I'm especially curious, like, what, just as I was curious at the beginning of this season, like, how exactly are they going to continue their life is because at the end of the day, Lelouch did not reveal himself, right? As far as Suzaku and the others in Britannia know, this current Zero has nothing to do with Lelouch. So that probably means Lelouch is still going to keep up appearances and and go back and be a student, whilst the rest of the million people and the Black Knights are on this island or whatnot. I mean, I would probably venture a guess and say that is so, but that is definitely, you know, all sorts of ironic and amusing in so many different ways. All right, so I'll just look forward to that part, right? And then lastly, just to wrap things up, I do still want to mention this once again. Back in season 1, I said this before, and my biggest gripe with the Code Geass series so far, you know, everything that I mentioned at the very beginning in terms of the structure, the pacing, the storytelling, and whatnot. I mean, those are personal preference, right? So people might not like that. They might think it's sloggy and we don't really need to care about that sort of stuff. Just accept it as it is, and I can understand that. So that is more of a personal preference kind of thing. But to me, though, the biggest problem I still have with the Code Geass story, like fundamentally, is still the Yuffie incident, right? So because if you look at it this way, so much of this current conflict that we have, you know, and the hatred of each other and the unwillingness to forgive and so on and so forth, it really stems a lot from the Yuffie incident, right? And, you know, this is even made more, it's even more ridiculous when you think that it's just like one of the most ridiculous misfire situations. Like, it never happened before to Lelouch in any of the other any of the Geass situations, and yet in that specific moment, somehow, somewhat, Yuffie was affected by Geass and by something that Lelouch inadvertently said, and you know, and not to mention he said it as a joke, right? Not even as a sort of like a sort of half threat that in which he didn't really mean it or whatnot. It was literally a joke, like just an offhand comment, and that is what sparked, like, I would even say 70% of the conflict that we are seeing right now. And that is literally something that Lelouch himself does not even want. He was completely willing to listen to Yuffie and go along with the administrative district plan, right? So I just feel like for a series like this one, you know, there could have been so much more, so many more different ways that they could have played out the situation so that it didn't, they weren't able to go for Yuffie's plan in the end. You could still have Yuffie dying. I'm 100% okay with that, as much as I like her as a character. But you know, why didn't they develop it a different way, in a different kind of method? There's tons more different methods where you could envision a scenario where Yuffie, you know, would either got blamed on something, or you know, maybe it was the emperor pulling strings and behind, or maybe it was a series of unfortunate events as well, but not literally something as I don't know. I still feel like it's so ridiculous to see that so much of the conflict and what we're actually seeing right now stem from that kind of a harmless joke and spiraling into this sort of conflict here. Like, would they have been at each other's throats even without that? Sure. But if we consider like how many important characters are here and having their beliefs shaped by that specific incident, not only for our main characters, but like public perception and all the rest as well, it astounds me that is what it all boils down to, right? And like I said, you could make the argument life is unfair, life is random, you know, life is chaos, shit happens, but at the end of the day, I still feel like that was such a disappointing and weird. Anyways, I don't want to rant for this one too much more. Again, I've said all I need to say back in season 1. So let's just leave it at that and look forward to the future. Anyways, thank you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.